I'm very curious if she's ever taken a parenting class, if she's done any kind of, again, therapy, coaching, formal education, if she's read any books, if she's done any work, if she has attended a seminar or like anything. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming back. We're doing another Therapist Reacts video. I've seen a couple people request this. I'm very excited about this because I have strong opinions about Dr. Phil. So we're reacting to an episode of Dr. Phil. I've never seen this before. Apparently this episode is about a teenager who struggles with like anger issues or something. Dr. Phil is trying to intervene to sort of get parents and child on the same page. Like I said, never seen it before, so we are going to do a like real raw reaction to what's going on here. Okay, let's watch.
Victoria claims Jessica is extremely entitled and so violent she has bashed her mom's head with a cell phone, destroyed her computer, her car, several other phones, and even the house.
Good morning, Dr. Phil. We're getting ready to leave the sunny state of Florida. We're driving to California to see you. It's day one. I'm estimating it's going to take us about 4 days to get there.
What the fuck? Okay, so fucking spoiler, I don't really like Dr. Phil that much. Not that I have a lot of experience with Dr. Phil. I haven't really watched his TV show in like, I don't know, a decade. But the whole like TV psychologist thing rubs me the wrong way. And one of the things about therapy that makes therapy effective is that it's confidential. So I disagree with the premise of like family therapy or like intervention on a public literal stage. I don't think that gives people the like safest of environments to air their shit out. So it's odd to me that someone would drive 4 days across the country to get his help. I'm curious if this family has done family therapy, group therapy, some type of like traditional therapy intervention before this, or if they just jumped straight to Dr. Phil. Normally like the whole TV doctor thing is like a last resort for families. So I'm curious to see what their experience is with like, you know, like I said, therapy and like clinical services previous to this.
Good morning. Day two, getting ready to leave New Orleans.
The drive was miserable. It was pins and needles the entire time. Jessica was kicking her mom's seat while she was driving.
She's driving. That could get us into a car accident, Jessica. I could have got us into a car accident. But you don't care. I think it's a game.
Yeah, I think it's a game.
Yeah, God, I'm so tired of this.
He did make it here.
Okay, so one of the things that's important to address here with conflict resolution is that if we are bringing a lot of really aggressive and angry energy to the table, other people are going to react with that same aggressive and angry energy. So it's not really fair to say, what the fuck are you doing? You could get us into a fucking car accident, and then get mad at the kid for being angry and aggressive. Like, I would swear at you too. So very curious to see how their communication typically looks. I guess this is a bad example because they're on fucking TV. But I'm very curious to see what's going on there with their like communication style, because again, like if you're the parent in the interaction, it's your job to maintain some level of calm and composure. Granted, this is difficult sometimes, but this is the agreement. You make the decision to have a child, you're responsible for being the grown-up in the room. It does not matter how old your child ever gets, you are still the parent in that interaction, and that doesn't entitle you to automatic respect, but it requires you to be the person who carries a little bit more responsibility, because that child did not ask to get brought into this world. You made the choice to bring them here, so you're responsible for providing them with the safety and the love and the compassion and the respect that they deserve. Yes, parenting is unfair. Parenting is really hard, and I will be the first person to say that none of us will escape parenthood without accidentally wounding our children. The expectation is not perfection, but it is still important to own the fact that this is a decision that you made, and you have to sit with the consequences now. There's no guarantees that your kid's not going to be a total fucking shithead, but like that's the risk that you take when you choose parenthood. So it's frustrating to me to see this like anger and like vitriol towards a child. Like, you did this, dude.
In time for Victoria to sit down with our crew and give us a rundown on what she's been dealing with. So here it is.
My 18-year-old daughter is out of control and she needs to stop her offensive and violent behavior. She has major anger issues. Living with Jessica is very chaotic. She's aggressive, she's very rude, she will push me, shove me, pull my hair. She's kicked me in the stomach. 2 months ago, we were sitting in the car and she was angry with me. So she started screaming and yelling at me. And the next thing I know, she grabbed my hair, pulled it down, and she banged on the back of my head with her cell phone and she gashed my head open. I was crying, I was sobbing. There was blood everywhere. I am afraid of her. I think that if she had a knife on her, she probably would have used it. She's never.
Okay. Jesus Christ. So one of the things about this that bothers me is it's being presented in a way as if this person who's now an 18-year-old and an adult and like, you know, operating out of the like body of an adult just all of a sudden became a loose cannon. I guarantee you this has been a pattern of behavior that's existed since the child was very small that like could have been talked about, negotiated, again, treated in some kind of clinical psychotherapy environment, but we're now just acting like this person like popped out of the womb as a violent 18-year-old. Like that's not how this works. The other thing that's really important to acknowledge here is that anger, yes, while it is a valid emotion in its own right, rarely manifests itself in this like experience of being like just an unhinged angry person. What I'm getting at is typically there's an emotion underlying anger that people are uncomfortable expressing because it's vulnerable, because it's kind of scary. Usually this is like fear, hurt, sadness, shame. And so we switch that to be anger. So my question is why we're reacting to a person who is expressing what I would assume is some level of like fear or hurt or shame with more anger, because that's not going to help you. And again, this is the thing about being a parent, is that you took this obligation on with the understanding that your child will have big emotions and will struggle with like emotional volatility, because like, hello, that's what children do. But instead of asking the question like, are you okay? What's going on? Like, this is not, you know, quote unquote normal. We're treating Jessica as the child with like this shame and anger, like as if she's like this broken, terrible person. Like that's neither helpful nor effective or fair.
Remorseful. She never says she's sorry. Never. Even when she split my head open and saw blood everywhere and no remorse. None. Since she's turned 18, things have definitely gotten worse.
They all hate me for no reason.
Nobody hates you. We all love you.
Yeah, you do.
There it is, right there. Look at her. She's crying. This child is sad. This child feels rejected. I would be willing to, I'm so curious to see how this plays out.
Yes, you do.
If I didn't love you, I wouldn't be here right now.
Okay, bitch.
Jessica actually...
Okay, so this is something that we're just going to pause every 15 seconds. This is something that I want to talk about, because this idea of tough love, or like, I wouldn't be doing this to you if I didn't love you, that can turn into abuse really quickly. That trope of like, I'm gonna be tough on you because I love you. Sure, I guess sometimes that's valid and helpful, but again, that can turn into abuse very quickly, because it's kind of this thing of like, I'm being mean to you because I love you, or like, this is sort of the classic parent who beats the shit out of their child and says like, I did that because I love them and I want them to be a good person. And like, there's lots of ways to teach your child to be a good person that don't involve physical violence and abuse. Also, her like real cold, stern demeanor, not encouraging.
Asked me if she could move back in with me recently, but I told her not until she sees a doctor and gets on medication. I wouldn't even consider it until then.
Why now that she's 18 are you insisting that she go to a doctor and be on medication? Like, why was this not a conversation that was had when the child was like, I don't know, fucking 13?
I'm terrified for her future. I'm afraid she's gonna end up homeless or in jail or dead.
Why come all the way here?
Because you're the best, and I figure, you know, if anyone can help, I think you can help. I'm very afraid for her life. I feel like a failure as a mother. I mean, I do have 2 other daughters that don't have that same problem.
Okay, so we're immediately getting into the deflection and the it's not my fault. She said, I feel like a failure as a mother, but I have 2 other daughters who aren't like this though, so it can't be me, right? Clearly it's not me. Like, as if children are just an input-output machine. Like, it doesn't work that way. Just because your 2 other children are behaving in a different way doesn't mean that you are like free of blame or guilt. And again, it's really important to acknowledge that this person, like, she's 18 and she's legally an adult, and I don't want to like be the condescending old lady who's like, well, you're 18 but you're not a grown-up. But like, there's a lot of mental and cognitive maturing that happens between the ages of 18 and 25, I think, is when your frontal lobe is fully developed. And like, this person is still very young. She has a limited amount of life experience outside of the home and being an independent adult, and she is not, you know, like fully fleshed out. She's probably not reached her full authentic self yet. It's frustrating to me that this adult woman who is a mother is saying like, oh my God, I can't believe she's like this. Like, what a train wreck. Like, you did this. This is your child. This is your fuck up. Most of her behavior is probably a result of what you've subjected her to as a parent.
So I don't know why with her it's been so different. And
You've had her arrested for assault,
yes,
and she's destroyed things. I mean, she attacks you. She split your head wide open with a cell phone. She says it was, quote, on accident. You have her living
Whatever. We'll get into it in a minute.
On her own, how does she pay for things?
She doesn't. So
So you pay for things.
the deal was, I would let her get her own apartment. I would pay half the rent. She would have to pay half the rent, pay her gas, groceries, things of that nature. And I would pay half her rent, her car insurance, her cell phone, and her other expenses. And that was the deal to help her. The blinds, the mirrors are all broken. The cabinet doors off the...
Okay, so at the risk of sounding like a boomer, if you can't afford your own apartment, then you don't get to live in your own apartment. I feel like there's probably a history of enabling here that's going on, but if you, as a mom, are going to say, I'll pay for your stuff and allow your child to leave the house and like be independent, but then you're mad about her not behaving the way that you want her to, and like you've created an environment in which this person is like getting rewarded essentially for wilding out. Not that we want to use money to manipulate people, but I think it's still important to acknowledge the role that her mom is playing in her behavior here, because people will, especially like people who are struggling with some level of, like mental illness or emotional growth that needs to be done, people will push the limit to what they're able to get away with. And so if you're allowing this person to get away with, not being responsible for her own financial security, then like, of course she broke all the shit, because who's going to pay for it? You.
She's there by herself,
By
right?
herself.
So there's nobody fighting with her.
No.
She's just fighting with the apartment.
She gets in a rage and she just destroys things.
She texts with you. You say to her, now make a doctor's appointment. She says, I thought Dory, her stepmother, was making it. You say, call the same doctor you called before. I didn't save the number. Hello? I'm not calling the blank doctor. She's just like
all over the place.
Helpless.
Okay, but why? My question is, why is she helpless? Why does she not have the number for the doctor's office? Probably because you didn't provide her with any kind of training or skills to do for herself.
And then at the end of it, can I use your gas card?
Right. Jessica tells me she hates me. She tells me she hopes I die. She calls me all kinds of names. She'll call me a bitch, whore, you, all kinds.
This is like very teenager shit. This is the thing, again, as a parent, if you're going to have children, you need to understand that your kids are going to go through a phase where they fucking hate your guts. Like, that's part of being a teenager. Not that it's like normal or okay to say these things, but again, if we're not having conversations about, hey, why are you saying that to me? Hey, that really hurt my feelings. Or like, I'm your mom and I love you so much and it really hurts me when you say that you hate me or to go fuck myself. Like, what's going on? Talk to me about what you're feeling, what's happening for you. Why are we in this interaction? Because clearly you're not having a great time. I'm not having a great time. How can we figure out a situation in which you and I can both be kind of living symbiotically? Just because you're a parent doesn't mean that your kids have to like you all of the time. And that's totally fair. And you can give your kid permission to dislike you or be frustrated with you. But like, we need to express that in a way that is like, first of all, a little bit more kind and compassionate. But second of all, like conducive to an actual change. Because if I'm doing something that's hurtful to you, I want to know so that I can amend my behavior. But I have a feeling that mom is looking for like blind obedience or just not voicing anything at all. And then mouthing off to a camera about how, my kid is such a loose cannon. And like, well, if you're not having any type of conversation or meaningful dialogue about what's going on here, then of course she's going to keep doing the same thing. She's a teenager.
Kinds of appalling behavior. You can be the friendliest person and she will be rude to you. And I don't know, what should I be doing as her mother? And that's what I need help with. It's definitely taken a toll on me and my...
I'm very curious if she's ever taken a parenting class, if she's done any kind of, again, therapy, coaching, formal education, if she's read any books, if she's done any work, if she has attended a seminar or like anything. I'm so curious if she has actually done any work to improve her ability to parent, or if she is just like, it's not working, I don't get it, I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing and it's not helping.
My mom fight a lot. We fight about do the dishes like right now, or like you're not going out, or like what are you wearing? I get angry. She never lets me do normal things. My sisters think that they're better than me. They judge me a lot. They all have a life. They all have their own houses. They both have dogs. They both have boyfriends. They both have everything. My family.
Okay, so that's some insecurity and some jealousy that I would be willing to bet is not being addressed. There's clearly some rivalry happening between these siblings, and it doesn't sound like mom is really receptive or compassionate to that.
Family does gang up on me. My mom does not defend me. People at my school don't like me. Like, I get bullied every day at school. It's just like not fair.
Okay, so like pretty transparently, this poor kid is insecure. She's sad. She's hurt. She probably has some amount of internalized shame about being like the black sheep of the family. It sounds like she's been labeled as the problem child. And this is a very common thing that people do. When we feel like other people are judgmental or don't like us or that we are the odd man out, we will make an attempt to like, I'm going to hurt you before you have the opportunity to hurt me. I think that's probably where the behavior is coming from when mom says like you could be the friendliest person and she'll be rude to you, because she's trying to take away the like surprise of other people being rude to her. This is a very common thing that people do. We do it with all different types of things. These are the people who like refuse to try new hobbies because if I don't have a guarantee that I'm not going to be good at it, I'm not even going to try because I don't want to fail. So I'm going to take myself out of the running, because at least if I shit on myself or I ruin that opportunity for me, then I'm in control of it and it hurts a little bit less. It's not very helpful in the long term, but it's like a very human thing to do, which again, I just want to note, this is not like pathological or like difficult to understand. If they had gone to a basic marriage and family therapist or like, sent her to counseling as a teenager, we probably would have figured this out.
I'm angry at my mom because she's fake as My mom told me she was only gonna pay my rent for a year. She doesn't pay for it. I'm not paying. I don't have money. You can shake me broke. I have nothing. She doesn't tell people that she spent my savings. She doesn't tell people how fake she is. She just acts and makes me look bad. I'm the kid. She's the adult. I can make up for my mistakes. She can't. I worry that my parents are gonna not pay for anything and make me live on the street because they always threaten me saying that stuff, so.
Okay, so that's not appropriate. As a parent, it's your fucking job to provide your child with a place to live, with food and shelter, and like love and compassion. You're supposed to meet their basic needs. If you're not doing that, you're not being a very good parent, and it's very manipulative and abusive and inappropriate to threaten your child with homelessness if they don't behave the way that you want them to behave.
That's my fear. I don't like anyone in my family. They're all fake.
Jessie thinks I should pay for everything for her. Her apartment, her cell phone, her car insurance, her groceries, everything. She does have a sense of entitlement, big time. She's told her grandmother that she would resort to prostitution to make money.
Whoa, that was such a lie. I would never do prostitution. What? Wow.
What will you do?
I don't know what I would do. That's why I'm crying.
I do worry that I will be taking care of her for the rest of her life.
Okay, but whose fault is that though? Have we had a conversation about like what kind of employment do you want to pursue? Do you want to go to school? Do you want to get a part-time job? Do you want to do a trade school? Do you want to do like fucking welding or computer sciences or cosmetology or like fucking I don't know. Like if you're so frustrated that your kid won't do for themselves, my question is why are they not doing for themselves? Most people don't enjoy the experience of being financially dependent on another person. She clearly is not enjoying her time with her family of origin. So like there's something going on that she's not willing to branch out. There's some kind of barrier that's holding her back. If that's internal or external, we don't know. But like, again, my question is why? And I'm also curious why we're not asking the question why. It seems like mom and the family are just sort of pointing the finger at the person who they've labeled as the problem child and going, it's you, it's you, it's you. And like, this is a family. One of the things that we know about families, there's like a whole theory, it's called family systems theory. Everybody in a family plays a role. Everybody has like a part to play in this overall ecosystem that makes up a family. And there's like this thing called homeostasis in medicine. It's like the idea that like our body temperature regulates itself to maintain a status quo. In a family system or like a community in general, we strive to maintain this homeostasis. And so if someone has been labeled as the problem child, we kind of are bought into this idea of this person being the problem child. Because if she all of a sudden became this like perfectly self-actualized and healed human being, that doesn't fit with her being the problem child. And we don't have anybody to point the finger at. And so we kind of try to like shove her back down into this role of problem child so that we can maintain this like teeter-totter thing. And to say that like one person is responsible for all of the issues is unfair, but also wrong. Everyone plays a part in this and is participating in this culture, and everyone needs to own accountability for how they're interacting with this. It's not just mom, it's not just Jessica, it's not just stepmom or the sisters. Like everybody needs to be addressing what the fuck is going on here, which again is why I'm curious why we've not made any attempt to do individual counseling, family counseling, mother-daughter counseling, like nothing.
Jessica was a little bit bullied between her two older sisters growing up because of her learning disability. They had nicknames for her, SpongeBob teeth and all that kind of stuff. I have witnessed Jessica being violent with her father, and I've seen her beat him up, beat me up, push us into walls, cops come. I've seen her beat her mother up. I do not play a parenting role to Jessica at all because I am scared of her. I will not parent her. When Jessica gets angry, calling females bro, what's up bro, and you wanna go bro, and trying to antagonize people. Jessica feels that everybody hates her. That manifests itself in anger.
The last thing you
Okay, we'll cut it here. We're gonna do 2 parts because I think this is probably gonna be heinously long. All of this, like, I refuse to parent her, I don't want to be involved, like, you don't get to, like, granted, step parenting is kind of a different beast, and it's important to find a balance that works for everybody involved, and we don't want to be, like, trying to replace someone's biological parent, but you can't just refuse to engage, and it's frustrating to me that the dynamic, at least the way the show has set this up, is that Jessica is this hurricane of a person who's just, like, running around, ruining everything, chaotic, she's violent, she's aggressive, and, like, I don't doubt that those things are true, that she has been, physically violent with people. But again, like, knowing that she was bullied by her sisters, knowing that she's bullied at school, knowing that there's a learning disability that she's dealing with, knowing that she seems to be labeled as, like, the odd man out and the problem child, I'm not surprised that she's angry, because up to, like, literally just now, because she's 18, previously she's still a child, let's be honest. Like, she's 18 years old, she's legally an adult, but she, at least in this exchange, is the youngest person in the room. And the thing that a lot of times as, like, parents and adults, we forget that children and, young adults have the same emotional range that we do as, like, grown-ups. They just don't have the skills or the language to talk about and to express those. So when a 2-year-old pitches a fit and, like, starts punching people and throwing shit, it's because they're feeling the same amount of anger and frustration that you and I do when we're stuck in traffic, or somebody, like, fucks something up for the 18th time. They just don't have the skills or the language to say, like, I'm frustrated, and to, like, push that down. You know what I mean? Like, you and I, as adult human beings, when I get stuck in traffic, I don't roll my window down or, like, ram my car into people, because that's not allowed, like, I'm not getting out of my car and, like, starting a fight with people, even though I kind of want to sometimes, because that's not appropriate. That's not appropriate, because I have the tools and the skills to be like, it's fine, it's my fault, I'm the one who left late, I'm the one who stopped it at, Dutch Bros to get a coffee, so it's my fault that I'm late and I need to sit with my consequences and, like, feel my feelings and it's gonna be fine. I have that internal dialogue with myself, but when somebody is, like, 15 or 16, they don't really know how to do that. And especially if mom and dad and stepmom and all of the adults involved are gaslighting this kid into thinking that she's crazy and that she's an idiot and that she sucks. Of course, she's never developed any kind of useful skills to deal with the anger. She's just out here trying to do the best that she can in the best way that she knows how, which it sounds like is violence, because up to now, that's gotten her desired outcome of, like, leave me alone, don't talk to me, give me what I want, pay for my stuff. Like, again, what's the incentive to grow, to be better, really? Like, she does not have anybody standing in her corner saying, like, hey, we love you, we appreciate you, we know that this is not reflective of you, and we want to make sure that you're okay, but we also want to help you grow into, the wonderful adult woman that we know you are. These people are, like, looking down their nose at her and pointing their finger at her. So, like, again, not surprised that she's having a rough go of it. Not that she's immune from the consequences of her actions. Physical violence is never appropriate, and we need to hold accountability for how that impacts other people. I would not be surprised if she's traumatized people in her family of origin. She needs to own accountability for that. However, there are a lot of underlying factors here that the adults in her life have absolutely just shit the bed. Like, not at all an example of appropriate parenting. So, we're going to wrap it up. We will be back for part 2. My inside sources tell me that the rest of this video is mostly like the Dr. Phil stage conversation stuff. So yeah, if you guys like this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel because we do stuff like this, but also fun educational stuff. And leave comments because I like chatting with y'all. And then share the video to help the channel grow and to help each other grow. And I'll see you guys for part 2. Okay, bye.